All right, this is the Farm Hop Life Monday Night Men's Forum, number 38. It's going to talk about generational wealth. I am Matt of Farm Hop Life. We got Homestead of Pain. He figured out how to change his name. Uh, Scott of Little Pine Farm. We have Josiah of Over the Moon Farm. And Scott, Thriving the Future podcast. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Welcome back, Josiah. It's been a while. Oh, what happened?
Oh,
device is not
And
connected.
just like
spoke too
that.
soon.
There we go.
Okay. Welcome back. Why don't you start us off, since you've been away for a while, with a personal event, please?
Oh, a personal event. I bought that big trailer. That's probably the biggest personal event.
Nice. What did that cost?
$5,500.
That's not bad, right? That doesn't sound that bad.
No, it
No, it was a pretty good deal. It's a little shop up, literally right on the border between Missouri and Iowa, and they do 2,000 trailers a year. But they have good. I mean, people drive from all over the place. There's people coming in, Colorado, Michigan, just coming in to buy the trailers. So they have good prices, and everybody loves them. So
Nice.
yeah.
So you bought the trailer, but then also didn't you buy like an excursion or something too?
I was going to talk about that.
You weren't going to talk about that.
My wife's still giving me a hard time about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I bought. There was an equipment auction, and I was trying to get a diesel truck to pull the trailer. Because humorously, my wife actually drives the two biggest vehicles that we own, the two that can tow the most. So I was trying to get something so that I wasn't using one of the family cars to tow the trailer.
Right.
And they all started going over my price limit. And then there was this excursion sitting there, and my limit was $2,000, and it went for $1,900. So I said, you know what, I can't say no. So I'll just buy another one.
That's funny. Well,
so they only made them for 5 years.
For Twitter.
So it was worth going for.
There you go. That's funny. Homestead of Pain, go ahead.
I would say the biggest personal event for me has been all my paperwork at the school has been approved. So the next thing that should happen is HR should reach out and schedule a interview for a level 1 maintenance position. And my teacher already told me how to pass the interview. So hopefully I can start working. And then once I finish the current program I'm in, then I can go back and get electrical, HVAC, plumbing, and machine tool associates paid for by the school while working for the school with government benefits.
Wow.
Nice.
So I am really looking forward to that.
And didn't
That's
you
a
say you're
sweet
getting
kid.
married soon too?
I was hoping
Yes,
somebody's going to bring that up.
So I've got to get with Long Story Farms because he has 20 goats he doesn't want. And he said that Homestead Padre could have some. And I'm like, well, I have to put myself in this. And so
I have to get in on this 2-party agreement. I have to get in the middle of it somehow.
yes, always have to. And
What
so
does this have to do with marriage?
Exactly. So the weekend that we'll be doing it, I will be driving up to Long Story Farms. Me and him are gonna switch pigs. So he's got a pig, I've got a pig. We're gonna swap pigs. One's a Ossabaw, one's a Berkshire. And then while I'm there, I'm gonna pick up his goats, and then we're going to go to Helen, and then where Homestead Padre is gonna be the weekend, and then he's going to marry us, and then we're going to go from
that's right.
Helen back to Cartersville, where I live, and he's going to, I guess, intercept that, or I'm going to drop the goats off with him, or he's going to come pick them up on his way back to Mississippi.
Huh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot Padre
20
is gonna marry. Yeah, I remember that from the other day.
Two
I'm gonna need a
pigs, 20
diagram for
goats,
this.
and
Actually, like, do you want a flow
a flow
chart or
chart.
something?
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
a Gantt chart actually.
So I've got to get with him and see. I don't think I'm going to be given the 20. Homestead Padre was given those 3, so I don't know if I'm going to get rid of them for him and then we'll give him a portion of whatever. If I'm going to buy them from him at whatever, I don't know. I just got to get with him on that and see if we can actually make it happen.
That's funny. I joked that hey, we should all just show up in Helen, whatever you
Yeah.
said, whatever
Georgia.
and just show up at your wedding. Just
Yeah,
crash.
that's it. It'll probably be at a park. It's so, you know,
That'd be
that's
fun.
it. Yeah, I mean, by all
I'm
means,
probably not
show
going to
up.
do it, but it'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty awesome. The first official
would.
meetup from
Yeah,
the Telegram.
yeah, for real. Wow, Little Pine.
Yo, it's a good week. It was crazy. It was the county's spring break, and so we had a ton of dogs all week. So I didn't get quite as much tree hole digging done as I could, or as I wanted to, rather. But it's gonna be 53 and sunny again tomorrow, so back at it. Hopefully
Nice.
pick up trees by the weekend. I haven't gotten the call from the nursery yet, but I think the last truck arrived like Friday, so hopefully all my stuff is there.
What
Very
are you
excited.
planning?
All like zone 3 and zone 4 varieties. 5 apples, 2 pears, 2 plums, and a sour cherry. 3 varieties of apple. We'll see how it goes. You know, maybe I only can do berries up here, but I'm gonna give it a try for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. All right, thriving Scott.
Yeah, I did apple grafting all weekend, and then tonight
Nice.
planted potatoes and onions.
Potatoes and onions.
Cool.
So, when's your frost date? When's your last frost date?
April 20th.
April 20th. Okay.
Nice.
I'm not until like June 7th. So
June 7th,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm June 9th.
What zone
And
are you,
that's-
Matt?
5 something.
Oh,
But I
okay.
added a week just for freak weather event. So you could probably do it
Yeah.
June 1st if you wanted to, but
Yeah, to
Yeah.
2020 and 2021, we had a frost in May, and it blasted the potatoes and the tomatoes.
Mm.
yeah, that'll screw you up. That'll screw you up bad. Oh, my personal event. I still smell like garlic. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you have to check out my Instagram or my TikTok or my Twitter, whatever. I wasn't feeling so hot, so I drank a concoction my wife made up, and then I ate a clove of garlic. And then Jeremy, who's usually on here, challenged. He's like, "Real men chew their raw garlic" or whatever. And so I did, and it was awful. And so, like, I warned my coworkers today, like, "Hey, by the way, I'm gonna stink. I'm gonna stink like garlic." Yeah, so there's video of that in those places.
Dude.
But I feel better.
So check this out.
Is this what you're talking about? Your honey fermented garlic or garlic
No,
fermented honey, whatever?
this is brined garlic from
Brined, like in pickle juice?
2019.
Pickled garlic?
No, just salt brine.
Okay.
And so it's been down about 4 years now. Oh yeah, dude. I wish you could smell this. It's incredible.
That's
And
funny.
if I'm like starting to feel sick, I'll eat like 10 or 15 cloves a day, like spaced out over the day, a couple at a time usually. And I'll just be reeking of garlic like from my pores. It's so great, but I get better so much faster. Like it makes a huge difference.
It's a funk. It's a real funk, and I don't really care for it, so I can't imagine what other people think I smell like. Like, what is that guy doing?
Well, the lady loves the garlic as much as I do, so it works out in this house.
That's good. Well, good. That's that. So generational wealth. I had people were like, "Whoa, this is cool. I definitely want to talk about that." Josiah, you were one of the first to jump in, like pretty quick. You and Scott the animal over there. When you say generational wealth, like what are you even talking about? Like, what does that mean?
Basically something that assists in springboarding my children into a better life. Yeah, you call it stairs, you call it, a bounce or whatever, but the ability to give them a head start from where I was, when they're out of my house per se, to give them a better start than I got.
Kind of like,
and then
like a safety net.
I don't actually. That implies that they're gonna fall. I think it's more about just giving them a leg up, than it is about letting them, or about having a safety net. But I think if more people did that, you would have a lot more. I'm not going to go blaming generations, but everybody blames the boomers for not passing on their wealth.
Right.
And I've seen that, not just with boomers, but they'll make a lot of money and then they'll spend it all on cruises, and there won't be anything. And it's kind of a shame, because you could give your kids a start. Not that they need it. Hopefully you have taught them otherwise, but I had a boost. My aunt and uncle paid for my college, and my parents helped me with the down payment. And so being able to give that on, whether it's property, whether it's money, whether it's, even skills, is generational wealth. If it's a skill that you can parlay into money, or a living. So, but yeah, I don't think it's a safety net as much as it is just a boost.
Gotcha. Okay. Your mention of the boomer reminded me, there was a 4chan like green tech story that was circling around about a week or two ago, saying it was like, this dad pushed his son to get into like agriculture or something like that, to learn how to run the farm. But by the time he graduated college, like the dad had like sold off the farm, didn't even tell his kid about it. And I can't find it. I forgot to look for it prior to this, but yeah, that's what it reminded me of. I saw that. Yeah, it was like, whatever the caption was, like peak boomerism or something. Like, you got nothing to leave to your kids, like nothing that you cared for. So,
well, Americans, we frown on that. We frown on like nobility and all that. But like, I mean, there's inherited wealth in Europe, that's 1,000 years old, and we tend to kind of frown upon that. But it's a good way to go. There's nothing wrong with that. You want your kid to be responsible for themselves, but there's nothing wrong with.
Build off that, there's wealth in China that's dynasties old. What I mean?
Sure.
I mean,
I think the point of that story though was like, hey, go learn how to run the farm, and then it's gone by the time like the kid's done. So I don't know if like there's more to the story that we're not being told. Like, like the dad paid for the college, but ran out of money, so he had to sell the farm in order to do, I don't know, who knows. And it doesn't really matter, but it was kind of a funny story, and the way it blew up was kind of funny too. So Scott, you've got thriving Scott. What are you planning on like leaving your kids? Like anything? Nothing? Mindset?
So yeah, so like I said in my email, you really can't retire unless you pay your house off. I mean, anything else is pretty much a lie. This is why I have all these friends that, are older than me, slightly older than me, that are retiring, and they don't have their house paid off, and they're doing like reverse mortgages, and then they're screwing their children with it, because basically you don't pay any interest, and then you die, and then they have to sell the house for the loan. So, because they kept trading up, right? So yeah, I mean, my plan is to get everything paid off by the time I get to retirement. And then the only problem is if you don't impart your mindset to the kids, all they're going to do is sell it and dump it. And I'm like, I'm planting trees here.
Yeah.
I don't want you to dump it. So, but I haven't got a solution for that yet.
I think that's the biggest thing is it's really mindset, where I've heard too many stories of like, and like my dad comes from this as well. Like kind of like he would say like, yeah, we grew up piss poor, and it kind of seems like they did. So like that, I don't know if that specifically like gave him the drive to achieve all that he's achieved, and like, he's done very, very well for himself. And like, did he make, me and my siblings too comfortable? Like, because we just didn't really have to worry about that. So how do I make it seem like when like me to my children, me and my wife to our children, like how do we make it seem like or make money scarce, or make it seem like it's valuable, or put some sort of other like get that mindset of the value of things, I guess, instead of like, yeah, we can just screw around and everything's fine. They don't have to worry about it.
Right.
My brother taught me about, he introduced me to the idea of thinking about money as energy, and like it's come from somewhere and it can go somewhere, and you can waste the energy or you can do something productive with it, and even kind of perpetual with it and use that energy to create more and more and more, or you can kind of become a black hole and just become obsessed with sucking that energy from anyone and everyone you can get your hands on.
Right.
And to build off that specifically is energy. It's one thing that I've been having a struggle with. It's time. Your time is your money. It is your income. For me, do you want me to work for you? It's $20 an hour. That's because that's what I can go out and get. And either do it or don't do it. But when it comes to you, like you had said, a drain, you have things like family who come in and they're like, oh, well, they need this, so I need this, and they need help doing this and help doing that. At a certain point, when can you say no? When do you say no? Because, again, if you give all your time to help family, you still have a whole list of stuff you have to do. That's energy and time.
Yeah, man, you got to decide how to deal with the energy vampires in your life.
Yeah.
And you can't help everybody, and you certainly need to put your own oxygen mask on before you help others with theirs, or else you're no good to anyone. Yeah, it could be a tricky line. I'm autistic as fuck, and I tend to I love my family. They're awesome, but it's not hard for us all to be like independent and living our own lives, and just check in from time to time, and maybe once every year or two
Shit,
get
am I
together
autistic?
and party. But no,
We're all autistic.
family is
Yes.
family. I've always, and we'll get to this in a second, I guess, with me, but family for me is a different thing. It's the people I choose to have in my life, which does include my siblings and and my mother as often as I can get it. But yeah, whatever. It's a tricky situation.
So my son is going to be 3 soon, and we are, for the last couple of weeks, we've been entering the why phase, like why everything.
I'm
Like,
still in that
hey,
phase.
buddy. Well, good. That's good. Like, so he goes, like, I gotta go to work. Why? I'm like, because it gives me money. I'm like, why? Or why do we need money? And so like he's already like when he asks, I go, why does work give me money, or what do we use money for? And he's like, to buy the house, to buy our cars, to buy our food. And he just starts like listing all these things, like what money gets us at, almost like 3 years old. And the other thing that you guys reminded me of was like when a little bit further down the road, we're going to go through like how to, like, what the difference between earning money at a job or like making money when you work for yourself. Like you're fulfilling a service that wasn't there, or like the market wasn't totally saturated. Like, so like Scott, Little Pine, I don't know whether to call you Little Pine or Animal Scott. I don't know.
It's all right.
You're providing a service. You're like a dog sitting service. You found a market that had a need and you filled it. And so you're making pretty good money now from just dog sitting. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Fun update
You're
on that.
making money.
We turns out we read the zoning laws wrong, and it's not a legit option at all to pursue. So we're just gonna the good news is I'm not gonna be paying for insurance anymore. Or advertising or anything like that. But we've got so many like really cool regulars that it'll just be kind of a regulars and word of mouth kind of a thing. Till somebody
Love
makes
that.
me stop, frankly.
Yeah,
Legal for
I mean,
a
they're not gonna throw you in jail on the first warning
Yeah, right. I hope
They'll
or
not.
the
just shoot the
second.
dogs.
So that's fun.
That is fun. That's a nice thing. I'm looking forward to the next the new Ruby Ridge or Waco will be
Of dogs.
Pine, Colorado.
Yeah.
So, Animal Scott,
Yo.
it's interesting that you're here. Well, Grant too, but he's still just a baby. But
see, the thing
'cause,
is,
like,
I've learned these things as a baby. Like
That's
my
true.
perspective on money, how I learned money, how I understand how to use it, how I am going to interpret that to my children, and how I'm going to be, quite frankly, build it myself.
So, but Scott doesn't have children. So what is generational wealth to you, Scott?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot the last decade or so. Yeah, the no kids thing was not for lack of trying, just not in the cards for either of us. So
Sure.
I kind of think of it on several different levels, from the micro to the macro, really, as above, so below. Starting with the soil, like I can build soil right here and, hopefully build some sort of neighborhood pasture program to build the soil of the entire neighborhood and increase fertility and, provide people with planting stock and increase the biodiversity and the food production in the area, and leave behind skills and a replicable model that other people can do anywhere. That's one thing that with this idea that I'm really stoked on. I feel really open talking about all my plans because, frankly, as long as you're not within like 5 miles of me, I don't think we'd be competing anyway. Like, it's going to be a very targeted situation, and beyond that, like at the very top level, I don't want to die on this planet. I want to go to Mars and practice what I've taken to calling Genesis agriculture, and helping to support the things that will keep this biosphere alive. I mean, there's no sustainability. There is no permaculture unless we have the technology to stop the next rock that's like already on its way. And once I started reading about like organic farming and these methods in China that were used to sustain families on small plots for 500 years, and it's like you can't think that way without getting to this point. You know, for me anyway, it just became so obvious. It's like, yeah, we got to do everything we can to, you know, build fertility and localize food systems right here, but also we got to have some better tools, or we're all going the way of the dinosaurs. Whereas if we identify and intercept the rock, then, you know, who knows? It's probably made of lithium and cobalt and can power our civilization for the next 1,000 years without African slaves.
So are you saying
Space robots mining is way better than little Congolese children mining?
That's definitely sexier to sell, that's for sure.
Yeah, African slaves right there got you canceled on YouTube this week. So,
but I mean, it's a thing. We've seen
I know.
videos
No
out of
question.
Libya, and
yeah, there's a
No
lot this
question.
week. So you're saying almost like the generations that are going to follow you on your property. So like once you like leave this earth,
well, yeah,
you're
more
leaving
specifically,
behind.
yeah, I would like to find like, you know, the right person to leave this place to, you know, whether that is in the form of a sale or, you know, lifetime occupancy rights while I ride out the last few years or something.
Sure.
Other things we're doing like in the here and now is losing a lot of, not that I really had faith in the dollar, but it's becoming less and less, you know, desirable to leave any large portions of assets as dollars, or in traditional markets. So like we're looking at putting together like a communal hunting property that could benefit a lot of different families, you know, as well as providing, you know, a secondary base. If a fire comes, we'd have somewhere where we could take our animals and go to that's not that far away, and just having more real assets to maybe give us choices if things get rough. So yeah, you know, developing a successful business is being able to find a young farmer who might not be able to afford their own place, and, you know, when I'm 60 or 70, bring them on, and, you know, if they connect with the land in the same way that I do, then, you know, it's theirs, and now they have a chance to raise their family. And I'm not so concerned about genetics as I am about memetics.
Sure.
You know, just proving out ideas and showing people, like, look what I'm doing at 8,500 feet. You want some banana ice cream? The goat milk, the yak milk, and the bananas were grown right here on this little parcel. So just, you know, there are powerful ideas that can. One of the reasons I'm so interested in like the Mars stuff and off-world biospheres is when you do these closed cycle experiments, it tends to help people on this planet realize that we are currently in a closed cycle experiment. It's a very big and very resilient one,
Complex.
but all our eggs are in this one basket, and we don't have a way to protect it, and we don't have any seeds scattered around yet, for, you know, the inevitable end of this little ball of rock. It's permaculture, man. Space tech is permaculture.
You bring up a kind of. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by this deer out my window.
Nice.
I forgot what I was gonna say. There was. Nope, I totally lost it. No, somebody take it from here.
Was it Be Right Back? I'm gonna get a gun.
No, that
Okay,
season's
just
over.
checking.
Oh,
I mean,
Grant.
Yes.
You seem pretty close with your family. So like your parents and like I think you mentioned your aunt a couple of times, and like obviously like your grandma and stuff, and you're trying to buy like your grandma's property. So like that's that right there.
My dead great grandmother's property from my aunt.
Yeah. So that right there, that's generational wealth. Like yes, you're having to purchase it, but it stayed in the family.
Yes. So that's one thing is generational wealth to me is my grandmother's house she lives in, the 10 acres it's on, the 13 acres my great grandmother's house that's on, it's 175 years old. Across the street is 17 more acres my grandmother owns. And then there's another 100 or so acres that my great grandfather used to own that his sons kind of, stepped in and I would say swindled their way for it to be theirs and then turned around and sold it off piece by piece. And it's not, this is in my opinion, it's just the start because this is my parents moving forward on that. But I can do it myself. I can go buy 4 or 5 acres here, 6, 7 acres here. I know my girlfriend, her grandfather built the house they're staying in, and he plans on putting her on and one of his sons on the title. And, he had sold 10 acres to his neighbor. Well, we can get that 10 acres back. It's not just my generational wealth. It's what would come from my other half too.
Sure.
And really I would say it's in land. No matter what part, how the quality, it comes down to land. Don't pay an outrageous price, but just acquire land. And then with everything I plan on doing with the land, building it up, putting into it, and just keeping a cycle back into it, I can only be improving the property. And then as time progresses, that land's going to be worth more and more. And you have on here will or trust. And at some point, I feel like all that land is going to have to be in a trust because if you want access to it, you're going to have to use it. And it goes, if I have 12 kids and only 4 of them want to use it, then only 4 of them get it. So.
Right. That's something I'm thinking about doing here is like, how do I protect this place as best I can and also hand it down without them have I still need to like look into like the tax laws or whatever, so they're not having to pay like inheritance tax.
An accountant and a lawyer.
You need to set up a trust and add them as the beneficiaries. Yeah, we just did it actually for this property.
Is it hard? Is it expensive?
No, I think it was like $2,000 for an estate lawyer, but I mean, he did everything. It was just a matter of like, sit down and explain what exactly we need, and he makes it happen.
It's not like a legal Zoom thing.
No,
a little more complicated than that.
Well, I don't know actually, but
you could probably get ChatGPT to write it up, right?
Yeah, probably.
That's true. There you go.
But the trust is the way to avoid all of that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And really make sure the maximum it avoids probate altogether. At least I know it's different in different states, but at least in Colorado, because like even if everything's squared away when you die, supposedly, the state can still like get into probate and have their say, and there's a bunch of weird stuff.
And it's not just state; it's federal. They're coming for their 30% regardless. And even if you break down the overall tax bracket of what they get like 3 point something to maybe $4 trillion a year, and they only get a handful of billions from tax. that when I say they, I always mean the federal government and the people who control them, is they don't want you to have generational wealth unless you are, the Chase family, unless you're the Morgan family, unless you're Johnson and John. They don't want you to have generational wealth,
Right.
because then you can challenge them.
Does the property need to be paid off to put it in a trust?
No.
Okay.
No. You will just arrange things so that the trust is paying the mortgage.
Okay.
But I seem to remember the average cost of probate was like $5,000 or $7,000, and the cost of a trust is like $1,500 to $2,500 or something. So it's like, why not do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out. I'm not a lawyer.
Oh, I forgot to say, none of this is financial advice, and none of
I
us are
always give
financial
financial
advisors.
advice. You would definitely need to talk to an
Thailand.
accountant and a lawyer. I know my parents had just spoken to one. They set all their stuff up because my sister screwed herself out of everything. So they set
Whoops.
it up. Yeah, so they went ahead and they set up their stuff, made me the executive will. They decided not to go into a trust, but once more land gets added, more, because I intend to acquire as much land as I possibly can. Things probably might get lumped together, either that or put into a LLC or something like that.
So did you have to did you had to refinance your house so that it was in the trust or LLC or whatever?
No, it was pretty straightforward. Eventually the LLC or whatever of the farm, will pay rent to the trust or whatever
Sure.
to cover, all the expenses of the property that way.
Like just enough to cover like property taxes and stuff.
Well, no, mortgage, taxes, utilities, like everything,
Okay.
I mean, that's the real goal, is to have the property paying for itself.
Okay.
Yeah. It was easy. I mean, with professional help, it was super easy. Like, we didn't really have to do anything.
Yeah, we have a
Gotcha.
farmer across the street that just recently passed, but him and his family, you start looking on X or whatever, the hunting app, right? It tells you who owns
I
the
love it.
land.
I use it so much.
You
Damn,
can
these
also
guys,
use Q Public Net. I'll put it in the chat for any of you who don't have it, but it's in a lot of states.
right?
It gives you tax records, county records, everything. If they own land somewhere else, I don't know if that does that, but yeah.
Yeah, so this guy across the street, him and his family own half the county when you start looking around. So
Whoa. Dang. How about you, Josiah? What kind of stuff are you stacking up for your little army of kids?
Oh, a little bit of everything. I don't know. My dad's been a pretty good example of kind of setting us up, and so same kind of thing. One of the reasons that he bought the mini excavator that he's been using.
Nice.
It's an asset. It's a hard asset, and if he's not, he's not going to be rocking it as a full-time job. So it's not going to rack up a bunch of hours. So it's a hard asset that doesn't go bad. And the full intention is for it to stay in the family and get used on me and my siblings' place.
My dad just did that with a tractor.
Yeah, no, it's part of the reason for the sawmill and for the tractor I have, and for some of the other stuff like that. Growing up, my dad ran his piece of property with a walk behind tiller and an old truck, and so being able to set my kids up, with a little bit more to make it easier to get stuff done, it's a big deal. So some assets like that. The other plan is when we finish building the house we're going to build on this piece of property, we're going to renovate our current house, and it'll be a house available for the kids if one of them needs it to stay. And then the real dream is, you know, if the market comes crashing to earth, trying to pick up some of these cheaper in the little towns around us, pick up some houses around there, as a way to say, hey kids, you want to stick around? Like, here's a house, you know, you can move in here. And if it's rental income. If they don't, and if they do, then they have a place to stay and a place, you know, and again, giving them that jump start.
If I could cut in real quick,
Yeah.
Josiah, one thing you said that I wanted to just put out here before I lose mine, when the crash comes, because it's either going to come or they're going to throw us into another world war and just kick the can down the road for another 40 years. Who knows? Because, you know, we don't know the extent of the Fed until it stops. Is have enough liquidity on hand to go out, and if someone's landscaping company is going under and they've got to sell 4 mowers, 2 trailers, trucks, and all their equipment, you can go in and you can buy it for a quarter of what you could have 4 years ago. Same thing with property. You know, that's one thing I kind of want to do, is just have a, not necessarily it all in the bank, or have maybe 20,000-30,000 in cash in a safe that I can peruse Facebook Marketplace, you know, on a little battery next to a solar panel, because there's no more power, and then just meet them up and buy all their stuff.
That's
actually,
Go ahead.
I worked in banking long time ago, and one of the clients that we had when 2008 hit, there was a bunch of excavating companies in the Kansas City area that were having issues, and he basically just took loans to the hilt and bought basically his own excavating company. You know, just scrambled to make all the payments, and then when things started bouncing back, he had a business that he bought literally pennies on the dollar. You
Exactly.
know, giant, you know, $250,000 excavator kind of stuff, for dirt cheap. So yeah, there's opportunities, and I mean, you know, it's off topic as to what the crash looks like, but whether it's population drop, whether it's, you know, an actual market crash, something will happen. And some of these crazy prices won't, you know, prior to 2020, I could pick up a house in town near me for 50 grand. You know, no big deal. And not even necessarily a big fixer upper, you know, it was a perfectly livable 50 grand house. So when that, you know, if that or something like it comes back, that's pretty doable.
You mentioned population drop. That's one thing. I've got some longtime friends up in Idaho. That's one thing that she mentions, is because they get a lot of overflow and spillage from California people trying to find sanity again. And there's like a lot of people don't understand how many boomers there are and how much housing and property they own. And when they start dying, it's gonna flood the market. When, like, I mean, I hate that you die, but a lot of people, again, they don't value the property. They don't value the housing that their parents might have built, might have worked 4 or 5 jobs for combined as a household just to have. And then you're just going to get rid of it and forget the history that came with.
I mean, so I'll speak to that just for a little bit. Like, so like my mother-in-law, she's been in her house since the early 80s, and she didn't build it or nothing, just the house that she's had for that long, and that's the house she likes. It's the house my wife grew up in, and we don't have any plans of keeping it whenever she passes. That's just like, that was like my mother-in-law's, like, I wouldn't say her dream house, but like she really likes it. She's really not really wanting to move. So that's kind of like where she's at on that house. So like, if it doesn't mean anything to the kids, like, so like some people, like Scott was saying about the reverse mortgage, she could do a reverse mortgage. She could enjoy her wealth. That's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, she's earned it. whatever. Now the other thing is, of like keeping cash on hand. Yeah, that's great. But, like what Animal Scott was saying was about, kind of getting nervous what the dollar looks like. So like how much cash do you keep on hand and how much do you put into other assets?
Okay, so to answer your question for me, how I would think that is, so, say we have another 2008 tomorrow morning and you have $30,000, I don't think that the dollar is going to, snap your fingers. It's worthless. What's really going to come at the dollar is what happens with our military, because our dollar's propped up by oil.
Yeah.
It is. It's oil in our military. That's why it's the petrodollar.
But that's failing too.
It is. So you're real. You can have some in Bitcoin, but is your average Joe who's selling his lawn care business or his excavator company gonna have a Bitcoin wallet? Are you gonna have to walk him through how to make it? It's really it's a shot in the dark.
I think it's not necessarily that 30,000 would become worthless like in the span of a week or whatever, but that 30,000 would be required to be exchanged for digital dollars within 30 days or whatever. And then use of the paper ones are then outlawed from that point forward.
Yeah, or like Greece, you can only take out $50 from the ATM. You're not getting any more of the money. There should have been a bank run on the banks a couple weeks ago, but nobody has any money because they're all in debt. So
mine's all at home already. I took all mine out of the banks when COVID happened.
Yeah.
But like Little Pine, like you were saying, is I don't think it would be that drastic. I mean, they might be stupid enough to make it that drastic, but I think they're gonna slow people into it, like they did with the lockdowns. I mean, they forced you into your homes for 2 years over nothing, made you cover your face for a common cold, essentially. But I feel like they'd say, "Oh, here we have a more stable, alternate to the dollar. Trade that in. You just got to use your debit card. No more cash. Just tap your phone, and we'll give you $1.25 or $1.50 per dollar."
Yeah.
A couple months later, it's $1.10. A couple months later, it's 90 cents. A year into it, it's 50 cents on the dollar until the dollar's just gone. I feel like it'd be a slower phase.
No, I thought that way too when I first started looking into it, and the Lady of Little Pine actually convinced me that there's too many. You can't give people that much time to build alternatives and find the loopholes and find the workarounds.
True.
She's convinced it would have to be fast.
They would be. So you think they'd go in, hit it hard, hit it fast, create,
I think it would be not more than like 60 days, maybe 90 at the very outside.
I feel like at that point, banks would be on fire. They'd have a whole lot of unrest on their hands, like we did with the Summer of Love. Like cities on fire. The police. They don't have to serve them.
I kind of think you guys are giving them way too much credit.
Maybe.
They keep pushing back real ID. They can't get IDs right. So how are they gonna like make the money go burr faster?
I mean, they've been running pilot programs in Sri Lanka and
the infrastructure they have, the software's been made.
Yeah, but we've had paper IDs for millennia, and they can't figure out a piece of plastic.
But we've only had smartphones for 15 years.
What do you mean they can't figure out an ID?
Like they keep changing, so like they're having trouble with the real ID. I don't know the specifics, but they keep bumping you must have your whatever driver's license updated by this time, otherwise you're gonna be forced to get a real ID. Now it was supposed to happen this year. They bumped it like another year or two.
Okay, so
we were about a month. We were about a month away from vaccine passes.
Oh
and
yeah.
mandates. So
Yeah, and then
they could
Yeah.
roll
Are
that
they
out
here?
in no time flat. No,
No.
but
But again,
I mean, they were in some localities.
what we had with COVID was in the lockdowns. I think that was just again a trial run. They just wanted to see
no
what would
question.
happen. You know what's going to happen next time when Bill Gates just drops a suitcase of smallpox at the airport. Whoops. I
Well,
mean,
and the
You're definitely getting
infrastructure's
canceled this
there.
week on YouTube.
sorry, man.
I
Like
don't
they
care
rolled
anymore.
out the Fed Now payment program that they're
Yep.
going to be starting. That's like the underlying infrastructure for the system.
Project Hamilton is done.
Oh yeah,
So-
man. They've been working
Yeah.
on that for years. And like I was looking at my Coinbase today, kind of consolidating my Bitcoin, all my cryptos, kind of get them consolidated in one. So when it goes up, the rest go up. I can cash out, and then I can use that more immediately. I don't exactly have any long-term investments right now. I'm 21. I'll be 22 in a month. My long-term investment is myself, and it's what I'm going to be building. For me, it's infrastructure. It's get me. I'll spend my last penny on a greenhouse. Give me that greenhouse.
Yeah.
I can
Definitely.
find someone to deliver 4 dump trucks of mulch, and I can rake it for 2 weeks. That's kind of what me and my girlfriend are kind of aiming toward. We just need to get started with infrastructure because we can build later. I can make so they tell you to start investing when you're 18. Well, between 18 and like 26, you can catch up a whole lot on your compounding interest. You just you do have to compensate more, so you have to make up a salary later. But if I put in like $100 a week, by the time I'm 64, that's like $3 million. So I can do, $500 a month, $200 a week, however it comes down, and then I'll end up with that same amount. And that's just a hedge on retirement. That's not land, animals, like anything. It's not relationships you build. One thing that just kind of hit me is you build generational wealth with connections you make through other families. We had a church family we met about when I was knee high, and I'm now like taller than that. Their daughter is 26. She's fixing to have her first, daughter. I'm considered an uncle, and in their family. So that's another form of wealth that I don't think many people consider. Like Scott mentioned, he picks his family. I have an old school way of family. Family's family. You mess with family, kind of almost Italian like. But you can get removed from that family. You can.
Yeah.
But you can also expand it a whole lot.
I think that's a really good point. Working with other families, a banking family on their own might not have the kind of power that they want to wield in the world, but a banking family and a arms contracting family and a political family all getting together, they can start a war and generate
Hold
some
on, let
real
me put on my
generational
yarmulke.
wealth. So, I mean, we got to do the same thing. I'm trying to build, I see the first kind of glimmers of a little farmers co-op out this way. There's a couple of people doing some cool things, and we're starting to connect with each other. Oh, what? I'm
No,
muted?
Ron,
No, not
other
you.
Scott.
Oh, other Scott. Like I thought somebody'd say something by now.
No. Yeah,
But yeah, that's an important tactic, is not going it alone. I mean, not
Yeah.
necessarily investing only in your nuclear family, but investing in a larger tribe, in a larger community, and getting some synergy going that,
Mhm.
can get that tide rising a little quicker.
And to build off of what you said, tying back into what Matt said when we kind of started about his son learning, about everything, and then that father who sold his farm after getting his son to go to college, is keep your kids out of public school. You want them to follow in your footsteps. Have your son, who's 2 feet tall, following at your side while you're running cattle, while you're fixing a fence, while you're not tilling, but doing whatever in the garden. And then when they're 6 or 7, give them a task of chores. In my opinion, the perfect example of this that I have seen is Justin Rhodes. I mean, watch
Yep.
his family. That is, in my opinion, that is my goal. That is my ideal. Is
Incorporate
to have
them
that.
into the family business.
Exactly. And then that ties into another one of your things is pay them through your business. And they can have a Roth IRA, but they can also have a salary of like $1,000 a month, and that's also
Legalize
a tax write-off.
child labor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Literally.
I mean, like they don't. So technically, like my kids are like in my Twitter posts and stuff like that. Instagram, all that stuff, and so technically they're part of the business. Like FarmHopLife is a business. It is registered as a business, and I could pay them like for their whatever their picture.
You're a content creator, so you pay them for their appearance and this or that.
Yeah, that's an option. I haven't taken it yet because FarmHopLife doesn't make any money. Well, we're gonna worry about that later. And then they'd have an interest in continuing the business. Like, hey, this is the thing I built with my dad and my mom and my siblings.
And that's, I think, where farmers get a disconnect. You have your old 80-year-old farmer who's done it the old row crop way his entire life. And then you have his 30, 40-year-old son who has gone to school, has learned this stuff, is like, hey, Dad, let's do this. No, I done it my way. There seems to be a lack of merging kind of the two when building up and transferring over. And sometimes it may fail, sometimes it may succeed. But you have to be able to form with the times. Like a lot of what you see now is subscription based. I worked at a flower farm, I think last Wednesday, and they do subscription flowers. You pay her $60 a week, you get a bouquet. $60 a month, you get a bouquet of flowers every week. The same thing can be done with meat. Same thing can be done with the guy who actually helps run that. Worked on a CPA, some type of subscription based farm up in Vermont. They had like 600 monthly subscribers, and they got all their money up front. So they have basically half the season's money up. Yes, that had half their money up front for a full year, and then they got the rest as it came in. And that may be a way to do it. I don't know.
I think you're touching on something really important there. Like not only being open to, if you're including your kids in the business, like evolving it as they come of age and really start learning some things, but also, not necessarily like putting the expectation on them that they are tied to this little piece of dirt for the rest of their lives. And that's the most important thing for you. And
like if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. You
that
can't
could create a lot of resentment. But like being able to say like, hey, we could build this together and you can have it and you can do whatever, whatever your path dictates you need to do. But it'll be here and it'll give you options, whether that's to sell it and do another thing or hold on to it as a safety net or invest the rest of your life in it. Like
my dad built up a company for like 18 years and almost all the kids have like worked in it at some point, but none of us stuck with it. And so he sold it last year.
What was it?
Digital marketing. So it's not very like
yeah. I would
But,
pivot that digital marketing into farming.
it was not. My point is that nobody was
Yeah.
into digital marketing. Like my oldest brother or older brother, he was in it the longest. He was in it for like 14 or 15 years before moving on to something else. But yeah, he just never took it over because he just wanted to do something else. And that's like, Dad's like, that's fine. This is what I want to do. So anyways,
Cool.
closing thoughts. Anybody?
Is there anything
Thriving
we didn't
Scott, you're
cover?
still muted.
Yeah, I think it goes back to mindset, right? So train your children in the way they should go. You know, don't send them in the house when you're working on the car. You go in the house, you're okay over there. And then
Also,
Then my
don't let them sit in the house. That's one thing I always did is I was always given the opportunity to go help. I was always said, "Hey, you want to come help?" I always said no. Don't let them say no. Say, "Hey, I need you to come help me,"
right.
and then
Yeah.
make them feel like they're a part of it. Slow down. You may get it done. It may take longer,
Mhm.
but later it may save you time.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me that my kid comes over and like distracts me or starts like wanting to do something different. Like, all right, we'll just pick it up and go over there, or he'll just wander around the yard while I do this or do that. And he's like, today I was like flagging where we're gonna plant some trees, and he's like, I don't know, kicking the dirt and knocking down rocks, and he's just like going like exploring, but he's around all the time. So
Yeah, I mean, just showing them stuff, and and then
he's in the
Like-
chicken coop with his hands like this so the chickens don't peck him.
yeah,
We had an incident this weekend, and yeah, he's fine. Go ahead, Scott. Thriving Scott, you were saying.
yeah. I mean, so like my daughter, I never taught her how to change a tire. So first time she had a flat tire, it was an absolute catastrophe. And she was literally like having a panic attack. And I'm like, just chill out, just work the plan. And she didn't know the plan because I didn't teach her. And so, in retrospect, I wish I would have. Because I changed tires before. I should have taken her out there and showed it to her.
Sure.
Did
Yep.
you go back and show her how?
Yeah, but she was like not teachable by that time.
Okay.
You could also teach them delayed gratification. That's a
Mhm.
big one.
I've
Josiah,
had my
closing thoughts?
patience issues.
I think the learning thing is good. I one of the things I joke, my dad was very capable. He did everything himself. But he wasn't very good at teaching us as he did it.
Sure.
What he did do though was he taught us that we could do anything. And so I think that's a big way of passing on that wealth, of knowledge, because it's not just about the money, obviously, but and things, I mean, especially when things are busy, I'm not good necessarily at having the kids out there learning every little detail about the stuff I'm doing, but teaching them that they're capable, that they can handle these things as they come up.
Right.
I've done a lot of things nobody ever taught me how to do, but I was kind of taught that I could do it, and I think that's a big deal. But no, there's a lot of good stuff here. I think we kind of touched on everything. So
I try to tell my son, like, I don't want to hear I can't. I will help you, but I don't want to hear I can't.
He could word it differently. Say, "I'm not able to do that yet."
Mhm.
I'm
I
sure
mean, we
he'll
run into that
come up
with my
something.
kids. I give them jobs I know they can do. I don't give them something they can't do.
Just something
And,
just almost out of reach, like
I
like
wanna
almost
challenge 'em.
literally out of reach. Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah,
have to
like
challenge them.
they need to be
Find
challenged.
their
I
limit.
don't give them
Yeah.
things that are hard. And
Go
so,
cut down that 80-year-old post oak, please.
With a
yeah,
spoon.
I mean,
Yeah.
so there's the balance of it. I mean, there's a challenge, but I want them to feel capable, but they don't get anything crazy.
Right.
That'll
Because
come
when you
later.
ease
That'll
them
come here in a
in,
couple years.
they build up their confidence in themselves, and they know when you give them something, they'll know you can do it. They can do it
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
they've been able to do it in the past, and that gives them assurance in themselves.
Yes. Animal Scott, closing thoughts.
Yeah, memetics is greater than genetics.
Can
We
you explain what that means?
Yeah, that's
the perpetuation of ideas can be much more powerful than the perpetuation of genes.
Okay.
And it's very important, obviously, that parents focus on raising their children in fostering critical thinking and real world skills and all of that. But we can also, instead of always being focused on leaving a better world in 20 years for our kids, we can, next time you're hoeing a row or doing something monotonous, think about what you might do that could impact the world in 500 years.
Sure.
That's kind of how I was introduced to sustainable agriculture, was in a book by Sir Albert Howard, describing these like 500-year small family farms that always seem to be fertile and productive. And that's kind of what inspired him to reintroduce those things to the West. And it's important. The ideas that we perpetuate, the proofs that we show people, just be undeniable. Like, show people what can be done. It's so much more than what we're doing right now. Even if people are growing 2% of their own food, that's a huge win, because that might average out to 10% over the whole population and completely change the dynamics of the food system. And
Yeah.
we can drop these little memes, these ideas that perpetuate and spread. And yeah.
Excellent. Grant.
But
Closing thoughts.
I feel like this was a very good episode. We stayed
was.
on topic. We all shared very good thoughts, and it was good.
Good. I think I was just add one last thing is embrace the struggle.
Oh yes.
That shit's just not going to be easy. So embrace the suck and power through it.
Perfect.
The end. Okay, going around opposite way. Grant again.
Yeah.
Do a thing. Say a thing quickly.
Homestead of Pain on TikTok. Come see if I post something ever again. Yeah.
Good. Got it. Thanks. Scott, Little Pine.
You're muted.
Hit me up on Twitter. Lots of exciting stuff in the next couple of weeks. Slaughtering more goats, planting trees, digging holes, building beds, making
Filling those
Caterpillar
holes with
tunnel,
poop.
putting poop in holes, all kinds of fun stuff, and maybe bullying some government officials or agencies.
And
With
billionaires.
fire?
Huh?
With
Never.
fire?
No,
Redacted.
bullying.
Yeah. Are you gonna bully them with fire?
I'm gonna bully them with my rapier wit.
Oh, okay. Sad. Big sad.
Very good. Josiah.
I'm on Twitter, Inventive15, or you can just look me up by Josiah Young. You'll see all sorts of cute.
Oh,
kids
that's
pictures
you!
And cute
I'm
baby goats.
sorry. I just realized who this person is now.
There you go. That's me.
Good job, Grant.
Sorry, man.
And Thriving Scott.
So check out Thrive in the Future at thriveinthefuture.com and on your fave podcast app. This week I have Cyprian on, and so that's a pretty extensive episode. Pretty amazing.
Right on.
I'm looking forward to listening. It's gonna be wild. I can imagine.
Yeah, he's had some on fire tweets lately. So that whole thing about the definition of crisis in Greek, the Greek word for crisis is a decision point. So don't let a crisis go to waste takes on a new meaning. So yeah, it's on fire. I'm trying to decide whether to do it in 2 episodes or 3 episodes because it was so long. So
Holy crap.
Cool.
Yeah, we talked for 2 hours, so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Wow. Dang, that's cool. Nice. Looking forward to hearing that. And I am Matt DeRozier of FarmHopLife. Check us out, farmhoplife.com. We got a podcast, YouTube, all the socials. Next week, we're going to talk about, I don't know, learning how to say no, or like, do you say no more than you say yes to things? Like a couple opportunities popped up and I said no. Like finding your limit. I don't know. Something about that.
That sounds good.
I hadn't found mine yet.
I got stories for that.
yes to everything.
Yeah,
that's
make
Grant.
it work. Make it work. You know,
You want to get married?
Job,
yes.
Is that job too big? No. We'll figure it out later.
All right, sounds good. All right, thanks for joining, guys, and thanks for listening, everybody. See you next week.